Mhm. All right. Excuse me. Good morning. This is the list of tasks that we put together in my last stream. This is kind of a beginning to end, high-ish level task list of what I need to do to get the game, all the game systems built out. It's not it's not all of the systems fleshed out, but it's at least to get all the systems built out. So I'm just gonna start at the top today and see how far down we can get. I'd like to get through these first 4 steps because these are just kind of get the project set up tasks. Once we have all of these done, then we have all the connections we need to really start developing some of the pieces. So we'll see how far we can get. Did not sleep the best last night. I am trying to wake up. A little bit of caffeine in the cup today, like always. All right, I think I'm going to try to use Unity 6 for this new project as well, even though I haven't used it much. I can kind of learn as we go. Start that. I guess an update happened. And I guess I'll admit it's been a few months since I've even been in Unity. I've been so busy with my day job and some of these other things I've been working on. But I've been itching to get a new project started, and I thought it would be great to do it on the streaming platforms. So, all right, we want to create a new project. Security alert. Have a known security issue. Update the editor before publishing. Okay. Fair enough. Project. Let's just call this Strategy RPG for now. Or do I already have a project by that name? I don't think so. And let's put this in the projects folder. I think this will create another folder for this. I hope it doesn't put this in my base, or I'll have to delete it all and start over. I don't want to use that, but I will probably be using Git once I get this set up. Haha, no pun intended. right. Says there's a known issue. Why isn't it updating my editor? This will probably take a second. Generating all the new packages and files. So, you know what? I don't know if it asked me. Did it ask me what type of project this would be? I don't know if I picked that right. I might have to delete this and start over. I don't want the 3D. We're actually going to build a, yeah, I should have clicked over here. This is going to be a 2D top-down RPG as far as the style and look. Yeah, you can tell I'm a little tired this morning. That's all right. Nothing we can't fix. That should be my motto. Although it's taking and it does take a while to create a new project. I guess while that's churning away, maybe we'll just start looking at the other side of things, the server side with Java. Can I move that? Yeah, I can move it over there so I can see how far it's went. And I'm going to use Spring Initializer for Java. Let's just type initializer. Start Spring IO. That's what I was trying to remember. I'm going to use Maven. Let's use 3 on Spring Boot version. Hey, I think that other project finally popped open. Not all the way. Almost. Almost. All this, and we're just going to close it and delete it. Because I don't want the 3D version, I want the 2D version for my project. All right. Fix it. Let's go find that project it just created. And let's just delete that. It's going to take a minute too to delete that. Look how much it generates just for a starting application in Unity these days. That's a little insane. The size isn't the big issue, it's the number of files. 35,000 files for a new Unity 3D project. It seems like that could be cleaned up a little bit, doesn't it? All right, let's try this again. Project name, strategy, RPG. We do not want it in that folder. We want it there. We want to make sure we have universal 2D picked. Give us the basic 2D rendering pipelines and stuff like that. I'm just looking through here to see what other options there are, but 2D built in or the universal. I think the universal is the one I've used in the past. And I'm sure there's a way to change the packages around if I need to add one or another. Projects. All right. I think that's better. It's still getting mad at me about the editor, which can I update it here? Let's do that real quick. I do want Android support. I do want iOS support. Can't remember which one of those I've used in the past. Windows build support, web build. Sure, I always like to include the documentation. 23 gigs, that's not too bad. Can't remember. I think that's the ones I normally pick. Maybe I'll throw this one in too. I'm not even sure exactly what that means. I don't plan on using Visual Studio, but we'll let it install. It'll be a backup in case I'm going to use an IDE I haven't used much, but I've used its companion product for Java. So I've used IntelliJ IDEA for Java a lot. And there's an IntelliJ JetBrains product for Unity that's popular. So I'm going to start using that. And hopefully a lot of the hotkeys and stuff will transfer between the two and help me speed up my development process slightly, even though it's not going to be quick. Okay, so that's installing. Let's go back over here to the it's fine. The demo, we're just gonna call this strategy RPG as the artifact is fine. Actually, let's call it strategy RPG server as the artifact. And we'll call this server for Unity strategy RPG. Packages of war. Java 17 is plenty new enough. I'm not using anything too new. Yeah, let's leave it as that for now. Let's see if I can add. I'm going to be using the RPC stuff. I don't know if that's included in this. Yeah, it is. So we'll include that one. We've already got Spring Boot, but do we need like the Spring Boot web starter maybe? I don't know if we need that or not. We are going to need Spring Data because I plan on using a backend database for persistence of the data. DevTools, Lombok. I don't know if I need a client the way I'm setting this up with RPC calls. This isn't, I mean, this is all stuff that we can add later on. This is just kind of getting the initial project set up with the POM file with the right dependencies. I'm not going to add any types of security or anything like that right now. This is just the game side of things that we're working on. We're going to use a MySQL database, so that should be in here somewhere. There we go. It goes all the way to the top. Right. There's so many options, but I'm just going to use what I'm a little bit more familiar with here. I've heard of people using WebSockets for this same type of thing as well, but I think for what we're doing, we're not using a game that requires really quick speeds. This is a slower based strategy game, so we don't need slow millisecond speeds on any of the data connections. I don't think we'll have any issues with this type of setup. Anything else that we want to include in the server side for now? I don't want to make this too complicated to start. I think this is probably the main things we need to get this server up. So many options. Big section on AI now that didn't used to be there. It's really grown. All right. How do I go back to the screen behind there? We've got the RPC call stuff. We got the database stuff. Got DevTools, which just lets us do a few things when we're doing our development. Lombok is just a library that lets you don't have to create like getters and setters, and there's a few other things that it helps with too. Like it says, it's just going to replace some of the additional code. Of course, we need the driver to manage the database. So I think that looks good. Let's generate this. All right, so we have this new project, and we're going to copy this to go into that same projects folder, and we're going to create a new folder. Let's call this strategy RPG server. Actually, I think it already says that. Let's just paste what I copied. All right, so that will be our Java backend project. Got some stuff popping up over here for this install. All right, so we've got that. Let's go into, let's just open my Git bash. And we're going to go to that projects folder. And just init a Git project in here. Start managing that. All right, I'm jumping back over here. It's wanting me to install Visual Studio. I'll keep this as an option. If I don't end up liking the JetBrains product, I've always used this in the past. I think that's all I need. 10 gigs. That's a big IDE. All right. Open that in IntelliJ. I have an old project open there that I was looking at. Make sure I understood some of the RPC stuff. Projects. Yes, exclude folders so the builds don't take forever. All right, new project should be set up now. And even without building anything out, I should be able to start the server with nothing there. Well, it's probably going to get mad at me without a database to connect to. Let's just see what it does. It probably won't even let me run this. Which is fine. It's not like I need it running right now. But I need to know what pieces it's missing to run. What's the Unity install doing over here? It's still going. I can see the Visual Studio down here about halfway done. SDK 19 does not support Source version 1.5. Just having some Java conflicts here. So I have, I guess, Java version 19 installed with this IDE. I could download a different one probably. What other options do we have? There's really nothing older. It's fine. What if we tell it to go up from 17? It says I need to reload the project. Oh, what did I just do? Why can't I click build? All right. See if that gets rid of the Java errors. My goodness, I gotta wake up. All right, let's. It's still gonna get mad at me for the database, I bet. There you go. Failed to configure a data source. So let me. I already have a database running, I think. But I do need to add a new schema for this project. Let's connect. Close all. Let's create a new schema for this project and call it Strategy RPG. All right. Now, should be able to, let me see here, checking my connection information for this server. For this database. Well, this is just a development server anyways for now, so a local development server at that, so I don't mind if you guys see username or passwords or anything like that. So let's go to resources. I'm just gonna paste this from my other project, but we need to change the schema to be this new one. I just set up a very basic password for now. I'm gonna change this later on, but it's fine. It's fine for now. Now what are you getting mad at me about? Oh, you're not. You're done. Okay, so close that. Sign in. Maybe later. All right, Visual Studio is installed. If we end up using that, let's Let's close that for now though. Let's jump back to this Unity install. Now we have the new secure Unity version. Apparently there was something bad in 6.1 if they threw that up there. So we'll make sure we start at least with a more secure version. So can I switch this here? Are you sure you want to change? Yes, I'm sure. Well, that's not very useful if you give me the option. Did we even recreate that project yet? I don't think we did. So let's remove that from the list. That's why it's not working, because I didn't recreate it yet. Let's create the new project now with the version that it's not mad about. Universal 2D strategy RPG project. Still trying to dump me in this old project folder. All right, here we go. Now we can start churning and building the actual project. While that's working, we should jump over here and see if we can connect or get our server running now. I think that's all we should need. Oh, I'm wrong. Let's see. What is it missing now? Oh, that is all. I don't have anything. I don't have any code that would keep the server running right now. So it ran, started everything up, and then shut down. So that's fine. That's good. That means we're ready to develop on this side. Let's close that out. It did add the web one, even though I didn't add it. I thought it would. Spring Boot starter web. And then we have the RPC dependencies. So we should be able to start developing with that. Okay. Let's go Unity. Takes too long, generates a lot of files. Let's look at our task list again just to get. So look, we can already mark one of these off. I guess that was a pretty easy task, but hey, I like little wins anyways. This is my old-fashioned way of doing my task list for now. I know I could be using task management software, but I don't need it for something like this. I just want something quick I can refer to and kind of get an idea on what my next step should be. This will be a little bit of a refresher for me, this step. It's fairly easy. You just got to make sure you set up. So the way this works is you'll set up an object on the back end probably initially. And you have to use these files called protobuf files. And they have a specific syntax and format. And they'll show the method calls and the objects tied. It's kind of like JSON, but in a little bit different format. So if I have like a hero object, there might be a get hero stats call method. And then the hero object itself, it'll list like if they have strength stat, defense stat, stuff like that. It'll list those out. And then you can make that method call, say get hero or get stats or whatever. It's not too bad. And then there's a like a connection that you make from front to back end that kind of creates the connection between the two. I've used it in the past and it is fairly quick. So that's kind of why I like it over just generic like a REST API, or I'm sure there's other things too. I've used REST APIs, but those are more like a web-based trick. When you start getting into Unity where you might have a whole lot of back and forth calls, you need either something like this or maybe WebSockets to manage the constant stream of data. So these RPCs do support streams as well, so that's part of the reason I like to use them. All right, it's almost done. Hey Fluffy, how are you doing? I'm working on kind of a new series for game development. So this is a game development stream. And I'm just setting the projects up now. All right, we have a Unity project set up now. Looks like it's done loading. And so, I mean, there's not much I can do here yet. Let's create. We're going to go ahead and just do some back end stuff to kind of make the connection between the front and back end first, I think. So let's create a folder for scripts. And then in here, I'm going to create another folder called, what should I call this? Let's just call it RPC for now. And we're just going to create a basic C# script. This won't be a mono behavior. And let's call this RPC tester. We want to prove out that we can connect to the back end. All right, so let's jump back into Java now. Back to the server side. And we've already got a proto folder because I imported those dependencies tied to RPC, so it knows we're going to need this. So we're going to create, let's just call it test.proto for now. And let me pull up my helper file here, one that I've already done. Kind of help us through this initial process. Like I said, I'm getting a refresher and I don't want to mess this up. All right, so I'm doing good. Hi, Frankie. How are you doing? Just setting up the proto file right now. So this is these are some of the options that have to be either defined. I think that's how the package is set up. I can look at that in a minute if that doesn't work. We're going to use that. We're going to set up another package inside of here. Packages in Java are just, they're really just folders. All right. And Java outer class name equals so that should be named test proto, I think. We'll find out as we go here. Let's see. So we're going to create a test service. Let's call it test RPC service. And the remote procedure call we're going to use will just be called test connection. And let's have it pass what should we call this? We'll just call this test request, and it'll return test response. Now those are red because we haven't actually defined those yet. Hey Frankie, how's it going, man? We are building out an RPC connection from the backend server for a game and the front end of the game. And this will kind of manage data and logic for the game once we get to that point, of course. So we want to create a test request. And in this request, we're going to have a string. Let's just say name, string name. This is just. Why is it getting mad at me here? Message unexpected. Oh, I didn't close my service call. There we go. Message. Oh, I forgot. So you have to put like which parameter it is. So if you had multiple parameters, you'd have 1, 2, 3 listed here. And then we got to create the test response object. So it will just be a string message. The same thing, we need to define the parameter that it's passing back. For now, there won't be any object involved with this, if I'm looking at this right. Although up here I put test proto. Let me look here at my stuff to make sure I'm not missing a step for this. So we have the proto file. And then we have an entity to tie it to the database, which we're not quite that far yet on our testing. I think that's okay for that part. So let's create in here, in this new folder we created, let's call this gRPC test service. This is a new project I just started a couple days ago. Well, yeah, it's been a couple days ago, I guess, but I'm going to create a new strategy RPG game using Unity, and I'm going to try to stream most of the work I do on it. So right now we're just working on getting the initial stuff set up. I'm going to use Unity 3D for the front, like client side, but I'm also creating, right now we're working on a back-end server to manage the data, kind of manage the game. And we're working on connecting the two, the front to the back. Let's create that for logging. And we're going to annotate this as a service. That tells Spring to load this up and have it listening for RPC calls. And we're going to have to, so this will be, this will extend I'm going to have to build, I think if I build this, this test proto will generate this service. Name that the same as the other one, test gRPC service. All right. Let me build this. I think when I build it, it's going to generate the classes I need to connect to in the server. So I'm going to actually extend and grab onto the generated file. This is like our template. Once we figure out this first setup, we can refer to this as we're creating all the rest of them, and it should be a lot quicker. Right now, we're just trying to remember how to make these connections. All right. Let's see if I can extend. There we go. I think. No. gRPC service. No, that's not what I wanted. Let me look. Let me look here and see. It's just it downloading all the dependencies. Test gRPC service. Test gRPC service. gRPC. dot not getting any code sense or IntelliSense to help with this. I'm not sure if it's just because I don't have. Let's look at. I'm going to see if there's some type of add-on that will help me find these projects.
Come watch, Papa. Come watch the cartoon.
I will in a minute, buddy. I'm working.
Okay.
How you doing? Will you close my door when you go out? My daughter came over with my grandsons. All right, let's see. I am missing something here. Let's see. This should be test. All those fails. Ask Google.
Did he tell you to come look?
I'm working on one of these things, honey. How to get. I know I've already done this before. So we're doing the build to find our proto file. This is the part I think I just did when I ran the clean install. And I know I can see it worked. I can see the generated files. I'll look at that in a minute, Fluffy. Thanks. And implement. So create a Java class that extends your service impl base and implements the service methods defined in your proto file. So right now, our service method is just this test connection, but we should be able to extend test gRPC service gRPC dot. I hate that that's not, it should be finding that. Why isn't it finding that? Your service impl base. gonna get mad at me if I try to just do like a clean build, or maybe I should just rebuild the project. I'm missing something. I just gotta remember what it is. gRPC service. Create a Java class that extends the generated. That's what I'm trying to do right now. We're not doing the client side yet. We're working on the server side. On the client, on the server. gRPC. Pretty sure I already have that. I mean, I can install protobuf too. This plugin is not compatible with the official one bundled in later. You should disable protocol buffer and gRPC to use this plugin. Well, let's see. What am I missing here? I don't think I'm getting this wrong. We can see the generated class. Well, it's not in here because I just did a clean and then I broke it. Think. What am I missing? What am I missing? I swear I've done this before. Like I said, it's been several months. I've slept since then. gRPC protobuf. You know, I think there might have been some config in the POM file that I had to do when I did this last time. Down here in the build section. Let me look at the build on this one and compare it. Let me see if I can find the other one and get it to open in there, and we'll put them side by side. I know I was messing with this on this project as well. Can I just throw this up here? Let's see what happens. Let's throw it over here. Let's make this a little bigger for now while we're comparing. So this is the one that's working. This is the one that's not, for now anyways. So I have gRPC services as one of the dependencies. I have that. gRPC server, web Spring Boot starter. Those are slightly different. They might have renamed it though. That still looks like the right thing, doesn't it? gRPC Spring. You know what? Let's just put it over there. It is a different dependency. Accidentally typed a 6. Okay. And then I'm just looking through. There's a test one, which is just for testing. It's also over here. We do have the protobuf. I don't know if we have that over here. That might be what we need, because it doesn't know how to read a proto file, maybe. Maybe. Don't know. We're just going to try to match some of these up just to... Once we get this part working, we won't have to do it again. Stubs. Services. I don't know what this one is. Protobuf Java. It almost looks like we have two of the same thing here. One says Google Protobuf and the other one says io.grpc protobuf. But like I said, I know this other project's at least working, so let's pull that in. What version did I use? Let's just get it running, and then we can go back and clean any of this up if we need to. Like if we need to update dependencies to newer versions, we can do that a little bit later on. All right. I think this is already here. Now down here in the build, I want to make sure that this is where I think some of it goes, but I think a lot of it was auto-generated when I include those dependencies. So we are using a newer version, which should be fine. Other than that, it looks like what I thought needed to be in here is already in here. It has the generate where it's going to generate the proto classes. Yeah. All right. So we did add a few dependencies. So we'll go ahead and close that for now. Let's go ahead and see if we can build it. It might still be getting mad at me for that, but we'll see what it does. We can take that out if we need to just to get it to build. Building successfully. It's still mad over here, but it did say it built successfully. This is so weird that it's not giving me, it's not finding these generated classes. You can see it right here. This is what I'm looking for. I want this to go right there. No, I don't care about that. That's not what I was trying to do. Test. Test gRPC service. gRPC. Oops, I didn't mean to put that dot in there. Test gRPC service impl base. That's how it should read, and then we would override the method which returns it would be public void test connection, and we're passing in the test request. See, it's not seeing that either. And then we want it to do a stream observer of the test response. Call that a response observer. Response stream observer is fine. I'm definitely missing either a plugin that makes it find these on its own, or I'm missing something here. All right, for grins, let's open my other project completely, because I'm using the same IntelliJ. What is that called? Murphy's Law. When something could mess up, it does. Something like that. Did not know that this kind of stuff was going to hold me up. It didn't let me pick new window. I probably turned a setting off. All right, so here you can see although we can actually see the impl over here, right? Am I looking at this right? No, that's not the same thing. I mean, this is not generated code. This is generated code. So if I go to the target, yeah, so you can see the same things over here. We can see how to dig down in and find that generated class. We just can't get IntelliJ to link them together. Service. The package up here should not be the issue. Spring Boot application. It's just an entity that has nothing to do with the gRPC. I mean, except that that's the object I'm using in it. The proto file. JB Computers, Dungeon Server, gRPC. Is that different? The package? Is it sending it to... Like, I don't have that defined in my non-generated code, that package. Now that I'm looking, there's not a gRPC folder directly under. There's a services.grpc. We already looked at the POM file. This is a very basic starter setup as well. There's not much going on here, so this is the only thing that might be different. This is a separate folder. Because it's not having any problem seeing, like, even if I take this out, I have a feeling, yeah. See, that's what I'm trying to get the other one to do. It's finding these generated classes, no problem. Man, I wish my brain would work better this morning. All right, let's switch back. I don't think it's a plugin because this project's using the exact same IDE. And you saw that it just found it just fine. So I don't think there's like a plugin that we have to do to make Proto and gRPC stuff work. Oh wait, now look. You kidding me? I wonder if I just had to restart the IDE. Something that was weird. All right. It's good to know that it wasn't something I was doing wrong. And it's just my stupid IDE needed to be refreshed, I guess. How about that? That makes me happy in a way that it's working now. Let's get back into this. So we're gonna just log that we're doing a test connection method call on the server. So we should be able to look in the logs when the server's running and see that pop up when we make this call. And we want to create a response object. So let's see, test response. Is that right? Is that the way I want to do this? No, but since this is a proto object, I think what we need to do is pick test response dot new builder. Yep, see, it's already, I like that all the IntelliSense is starting to connect now. So we just need to set, there's only one parameter in the response. We want to say hello, and we don't want to say world. What we want to do, because we did pass in a request, we should be able to say hello request dot get name. We passed in a parameter called name. So there's our response object, and that's probably what I need to type next. And then it needs to say on completed, and when it does that, it closes that. I don't know if it closes the connection, but that's what we need on the method here. Much better. All right. Just doing a quick look, make sure I'm not missing something here, but I think that's all we need on this side. for this gRPC connection. Let's go to the client side now, to Unity. Go into our test class here. And so I do remember one of the steps is we need to generate the files we need, and then we'll copy them into this project. So if I look, I guess what we can do is look at that other project as well. I think that will have, there's a command line tool you can use to generate what I need on the Unity side. Okay, so let's do that. Let's go to once this IDE gets done opening up. Let's open a project. Let's open this one up. Is it going to let me open them both together, or is it going to close my other one? I don't know. So I'm looking at the project stuff down here, and I have generated code for the objects that were in. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Let's just cancel that for now. It says no, we're not going to cancel, you're going to open. But those are both generated. And then this code here is what we would set up. So I had created a test file as well on this project. And there's a client. So where's that at? That's here. Yeah, so the client is where I set up the connection, so to speak. So the server was running. That might be a default port there. Yeah, so that's what makes the connection. And then this test class, after it creates the connection, which is the client, yeah, so it's grabbing that data. So we need to do something similar in our project. The main thing I need to remember how to do is I have to generate these classes. Let me look in that project folder. I think there is a command line tool. I probably would have put it in that folder. Not the server, I'm in the wrong folder. What did I do to generate that? There it is. So I need to grab this folder and put it in my project. And then I need to try and remember what the command line is. I might have put a note in here. Yeah, I did. Good. All right. Let's move that over. All right. And then in here, the command line. Let me pull this over so you guys can see what I'm looking at. So C# out. And some converting the proto to a C#. It's the client. And I think this is just telling it which plugin to use. Since I'm generating C#, I'm using the C# plugin. And then I have to pass in that proto file. So we generated that in this. We didn't generate it. We created it in the server. So we also need to copy that from the server into, so like right now I have these from my other project. Those don't need to be in here, so we'll delete those. But if I copy those in here, it should generate. I probably copied and moved them out of here. Yeah, I did. These are like Google created proto files for different things. But yeah, this is all starting to come back to me now. This part of it anyways. So I'm going to go grab the test file we just created, the proto file. So we're going to come in here, go to proto, test proto. We're going to copy that. We don't want to move it. We want to copy it into that proto folder over here. And then we just need to open a terminal. And we should be able to probably copy and paste this code and just change this to test.proto. Let's try that. All right. Something happened, but it didn't tell us what happened. But if we go into the client folder now, you'll notice we have these additional classes now that have been generated. The meta files are just what the Unity system creates to give metadata for each file. So really the only two files that just got generated were these two, the test grpc and the test.cs. So I think we can jump back into Unity now. We need to go back to our project. Wait, let me make sure it's not still open. I think it is. I think it opened both. So let's just close this dungeon one for now. Well, let's leave it open. We don't know for sure we got this figured out. All right, so we have the proto folder in the client. We got these two. And I think what I had been doing is I was just moving those down into a generated folder in the RPC. So let's make a new folder here. Call it generated. And then put those in there. All right. And then we need the test class, but I noticed we also needed a client. So let's call this a new script called test client, not in the generated folder, the RPC folder. So let's go in there first and let's open. I'm going back to the other project. We can just not really cheat, but we can use this to help us remember how to do these steps. So let's see. Make that bigger and do this. All right. So we need a private read-only channel. And channel is using gRPC core. Nope, I did not type that. Does anyone else get annoyed when the auto features pull stuff in before you're done typing? Why isn't it finding gRPC? We're running into more issues here. Did I not? I thought I had that imported on my project. Maybe I didn't do that on this new one. Let's see. I think that's under the package manager. gRPC. I think that's the issue. I need to figure out what dependency I'm missing. Not in project. I want to search. Is it here? Where the heck do I find this at? That's not going to work because I don't know what the package name is. I'm looking at my other project to see what I have installed. I don't don't see anything specific. To gRPC. Let's see, what am I missing here? I'm missing some kind of dependency. I need to figure out how to add this package to Unity. I remember doing that. I don't remember doing that. Let me look at that other project. I do have a plugins folder and I do have all of that there. What is CW? Oh, that's that lean pool plugin. What happens if I just pull these 3 folders in from my old project? I don't think this is how I did this. I must have found it either in the Unity store or something. I just don't remember manually pasting dependencies into this plugins folder. I mean, it might work this way. I just don't remember doing that. Well, the error did go away. Well, kind of. Not in here. There it goes. All right. So now we have the gRPC dependencies in Unity, which I thought we already had, but I was looking at it wrong. So we created the channel it's going to use. Now we're going to create the client. So this will be test gRPC service dot client We'll call that client. And we'll just do like we did over here and hard code the server for now. It should be the same port. I don't think that should have been different. And this should read test client. And we want to go ahead and create the new channel and give it the startup parameters. So the server and channel credentials and secure. And then the client will use that channel. And then we need to define the method. So this is test connection. And we need the string name. String name. And to get that, you'll return client dot test connection. And we're going to create a new test request. Looks like that's the right syntax for this. And we'll just put name equals Bob. It doesn't like that. Why doesn't it like that? Cannot resolve symbol name. Oh, it was a capital N? I don't remember making it capital. All right. Bob. And now over here in the test class, let's grab our other projects test class as well to compare. This window. I said this window. Why did it close out my other project? I did that wrong. I did that wrong. Let's grab our other one again. Oh, wrong file. I just did it wrong again. Oh. All right, we got that open. I don't want to see that. Come over here. Click this one. Tell it to make a new window this time. Which is fine. I can probably even just pull this into here. Nope, I can't. Why? I don't know. No, I was trying to do this a different way and it's being stupid. So we're going to come back up here. Go to dungeon. Scripts. We will get this to open up in here where I want it. All right. So we need to make the client which in our case is test client. And then on start, oh, this is a mono behavior. It's okay, I can do that. So we want to define a new client. We want to make the call, so a test response, test client, test connection, and oh, I wanted to pass that in on my, I just realized I messed up that call over there. This was already set up right. I don't know why I was hard coding the name in. And yeah, we'll do the same thing I did over there, just a debug log in the Unity console that will show after gRPC call. Message is, we should just be able to get response dot message. All right. If this works, we've made a connection with the server and a gRPC call, successful gRPC call. So let's jump over to the server. Let's start the server. It's not actually running right now. So this should stay running. Okay, so we've started successfully. The server side looks good. I can even see where it's registered the services. All right, let's jump into Unity now. And I mean, we don't have anything actually showing up here. All we're watching is the console, and we're hoping that we see that it made a successful connection when we play the project. Oh, it's not going to work yet because I haven't put I have not put the test script over here. What did I call it? RPC tester. All right, now that should trigger and work. All right, let's push play. Cross our fingers that I didn't mess anything up. How about that? So we can see here, there's the call. Let's jump over and look at the server log. There you can see it ran the test connection method was ran on this side. All right. Great first step there. Cool. So we are just marking these easy ones off. Mostly easy. I guess trying to find the dependencies for the RPC calls was a little difficult. So we've been able to successfully create a connection between these two. All right. So let's work on this next step I have is let's create the database to house the data, which we did already create that schema, but let's create just a basic hero table. And we're going to try to do this one additional step of creating a way to grab and save that data out of the database. And then I'll probably have to call this one, since I have a few other work related things to do this afternoon. Yeah, let's do that. So let's jump into MySQL. We'll just use this workbench tool. Let's create a new table. We're going to call this hero. And let's have a hero ID field. And that'll be an integer. That'll be the primary key. And we don't need to build this out too far, but let's have a hero name. Let's have hero level. That would be an integer. What else? We'll just have a string for hero class, so that we know what level, what class they are. That's a good amount to do a little bit of testing here. So that's fine for now. We don't need to set any constraints on this table while we're testing. We can clean that up later if we need to. All right, so we're going to jump back into the server now, server code. And let's create some additional folders here, or packages. So I want one for entity. We're just gonna kind of build out the normal database structure you're gonna have in a Java project when you use JPA. We're gonna have a repository folder. I like to use a service folder as well. All right, and let's create. We're going to create the hero entity. So this should be entity table name equals hero. I like to use Lombok on entities so that I don't have to create getters and setters. We need to do that was pretty close. Good job. Good job, AI. Yes, but I also need the column name equals hero ID. And then we created a field called hero name. And then I created a field called hero level. And then I did one for class. All right, so that is the entity. We can go ahead and create a repository to tie to this entity. We can annotate it as a repository so Spring Boot picks it up correctly. And here we just need to extend JPA repository. That should be right, I think. And now let's create a service. So normally this will be like a middleware service call. And I could so let's say I create, we'll just call it hero service. And we'll take that like we did the other ones. And let's create a method that's called you know what? I don't know if I'm doing this right because I think if I'm using the gRPC, I need to generate another service for that. So let's take a step back. Everything we've done so far is okay, except for maybe this service. We're going to create a new proto file. Call it hero.proto. And we are going to steal the initial stuff up here. Yeah, see, this is going to generate a service. And then I'll implement the service, and that's where I can define these methods that I'm getting ready to define. Let's call the outer class name hero proto. What does that mean? I'm a little bit confused on what that means. Java outer class name proto buff. Use within a proto file to specify the name of the Java wrapper class that will be generated for that file. Okay. All right. So till I get more comfortable, let's just kind of. So we're going to call this the hero service. There's going to be a call that I'm going to create as a test called get hero info. There's going to be a hero request, and it'll return hero response. All right, this will test that I can pull data, and then I'm going to go ahead and create another call too. We'll call it update hero. And let's see, what do we want here? We want this to be a hero DTO. No. Let's do a update hero request. Returns updated hero response. All right, so we have 4 more objects there to create plus 1 more. And the other one I need to create will be called hero DTO. So data transfer object is what DTO stands for. So this is going to kind of redefine the entity that we defined over here. So remember we have those 4 fields. So we have a int, we have a hero ID comes in first, and then we have a name, we have a hero level, We had hero class. All right, so I went ahead and defined that. That'll be used in the update method. Now for the hero get hero info method, really all we need to do for that one. So that's hero request. We're only going to have to pass in the hero ID. As long as you have the hero ID, you can get all the hero info. In the hero response, we'll return this hero DTO. We'll call it hero info. So see how there we're passing an object, not like a generic. We're passing an actual object in this response object. So that's, I like how that is. That's nice and clean. And then we need this update hero request. And this is going to be similar. We're going to pass in a hero DTO. We'll just call this updated hero. And then really I can pass, so just to kind of show how this works, I don't have to create a new response object here since both of these are returning the hero info. I should be able to reuse this message type. So that should be all we need for this new proto file. Let me close out the test one. I think that looks good. So we should be able to do just a clean install again, and that should generate the new files tied to this proto file. So we can even check here. You can see the old ones for the test proto are here. They're going to delete in a second because I just told it to clean. But we should, when I'm done with this install, you should see that the hero proto stuff is in that target folder as well. Once it's done. Oh, it's mad at me because, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and delete that whole service. I don't think I need that either, the way I'm setting this project up. All right, try that one more time. It might have already generated it, but I'm going to run this one more time just to make sure we don't have any errors. Shoot, we do have an error. What did I forget to do? Oh, I put this stupid auto wired in here. All this little stuff I just start typing and forget about. I think that's what it was getting mad about. Getting farther. Build success. All right. Now you can see we have our new generated classes. We have that hero DTO. We have the hero proto, the hero request, the hero response. All of the stuff we defined in that proto file just got generated for us to use. So now we just need to implement the service just like we did on that test service. So we're going to create a new hero service inside the gRPC folder. Tell Spring that it is a, oops, do this the right way, gRPC service so it can properly load it in. And we need to make sure we extend the new one that we just generated. So this should be hero service dot impl base. And then we need to override the what I want to do, I want to pull this over here so I can see what I need to implement. So we're going to override the get hero info. And then we're also going to override update hero. Whoops, oh, that's fine. It's fine. So on this one, we're going to pass in a hero request. Is that what we called it? Yes, a hero request. And then it's going to pass out the hero response. Yes, import that class. Why is it getting mad about that? Hero? I don't think I named that wrong. Anyways, all right, so I also want to, let's put a logger up here. Annotation lets me use log info. Getting hero data on hero ID request dot get hero ID. Yes, I know you want me to parameterize that. Fine. So I need to do the response now. Hero response. And it's going to use the builder. And we need to set the hero info to a hero DTO object, which we're getting ready to generate. And then we're going to build that response object. So up here, we need to get the hero info from the database and convert it to the DTO object. Stretch. Which means we need to wire in Hero repository. And from here, we want to say hero info equals find by ID. Provided along, you need an integer. Well, actually, I think I want along there. So let's go to the repository and tell it that this should be a long. I don't know why it put integer there. Cannot be of a primitive type. Okay. All right, so we have data. Now, if there's an hero found, then we need to create, let's say, public hero DTO, convert hero to DTO. All right. Oops. And then we just need to populate this set. Why can't I set? Set. What am I missing here? Do I need to tell it something? Let me look at my other project as my example again. It's nice that I did some of this before, huh? I think I already looked at this. Throw this over here next to the other one. Hero DTO. I didn't do anything there differently. Let's look at All right, so on the other one, did something very similar. You can see here. I didn't use optional, I just said or else no. Asserting the hero is not null to continue. I created this helper function. Oh, the builder. I have to use the builder. That's what it was. Because this is that gRPC stuff, you have to use builders. Yes, I knew that. So get rid of that. And that. I can do just the same way I did there. I can just return initially hero DTO dot new builder dot set hero ID hero dot get ID set hero name hero dot get name set hero level hero dot get level set hero class hero dot get hero class, and then I have to do a dot build at the end. All right, there we go. Now we have the proper RPC object that it's looking for. So up here we will say let's do the same thing we did in that other one too. I don't need this. I can do dot or else. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Get rid of this. We can do the assert like we did on the other one. And then here. So hero DTO equals convert hero to DTO hero info. Okay. So we're setting the hero DTO. That is the only thing right now that we're sending back. That's the only thing in the hero response object. So that should be all we have to do there on that step. And then just set the response object and send her off. I still don't know why override is getting mad at me. Full method get hero invert to hero service symbol base. Get hero info. Get hero info. Hero request is the parameter. What's this do? I don't know if that was right. I don't know what it actually did there. Yeah, I know. It always gets mad at you when you inject it that way. Wired. What you looking for?
Lunch.
Don't know if I have one of those.
We just saw it recently.
Okay, so now we need to define the other one. So that will get the hero info. Now let's do this other step where we're updating the hero. Updating hero with hero ID. And up here we need a update hero request. And the same stream observer with the hero response. All right. That's not right. We should be able to get the hero DTO or get the updated hero dot get hero ID. And then, so normally, I'm not going to do it for this test. I'll say normally validate data before saving to database or before updating database. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to move on to this next step. So we're going to say we need a conversion the other direction now. And I'll have to look, I'm going to look off camera after I'm done with this and do some research and see if I have to do these conversions back and forth, or maybe there is a helper function that does this. Because what I'm going to do now is convert the other way. We're going to say convert hero DTO to hero. So we're passing in the DTO object. And whoops. Just putting them in the same order just because it's cleaner that way. What did I do up here? Set hero level. This is an int long. What? Oh, I put int 64 over here. We can fix that. It's gonna still have this error for now, I think, but after I regenerate the class, it should fix that. I did one along on the hero ID, but not really for level. Return hero. So now we have the hero object, and we should be able to pass this. Well, we don't actually have it yet. So hero equals convert hero DTO to hero. And then we should be able to hit the repository and save. And we'll actually make updated hero. So it will return and prove out that that's the data that's in there. And then from here, we're going to kind of be similar to the now that we've saved the data and we've gotten the data back from the database, it's going to be very similar to what we did up here. So we're going to do a hero DTO equals convert hero to DTO, and then the response. Look at that. That looks good. Let's see if this will fix that again, and hopefully we're not messing anything up when we're clicking that. That's fine. It's still getting mad here, but I think once I regenerate these classes, so let's go ahead and try to do that. Since I changed this from a long to an int. Yeah, it's gonna be mad until, see, now nothing's generated, everything's mad. Once it regenerates everything should be good again, I'm hoping. Oh, see, what did I do wrong? Why is it getting mad about these overrides? It does not. No, I know I have that in that other project. I was just looking at it. Why did I close that out? Let's open that back up. This one here. It says override. Get hero info. Well, I only had one, which is fine though. Doesn't matter if I didn't define the same number of functions. Looking. Let's look at this proto tied to the one that works. So I named it get hero info with the lowercase g, capital H, capital I. Oh, what am I missing? I hate trying to figure stuff out like this. This should not be this complicated. I might have named the package wrong. Let's go check that in the R proto. JB Computer Strategy .grpc. This one, server grpc. That's weird. Method does not override method from its superclass. Do I have to override it? I mean, I did in my other project and it worked just fine. I did an override public void. Public void. Let's check the generated class. Maybe that'll give us a hint on what I'm missing here. So this is the hero. Oh, it didn't generate it because it errored out in the middle. If I take override off, is it okay for now so I can generate these classes? It's confusing me. All right, it generated the classes. It's not getting mad that my hero service doesn't override. It doesn't seem right to me though. Let's leave it like that for now. Although I don't think it's right. I can guarantee you it's not right. But this is pretty much the code we need on the server side. What about my test service? Did I have an override on it? I did, and it didn't get mad at me. All right, I'm gonna jump over to the Unity side. And we are going to kind of go through the same process we did with that other one. So we need to grab the new proto for hero out of the server. Copy that, and we're going to bring that over to the client side. All right, then we're going to go back to our command line tool here and run it on this new proto file. It'll generate those new files in here. So now we can come over here in Unity. It's going to run some updates because it sees those new files. And we're going to grab those files out there and move them into my generated folder. And now let's create another new. We'll just use the RPC tester again. That's kind of like our mono behavior test class. But we do need to create another new client. This one will be the hero client. And this will be very similar to the test client, so I can probably copy some of this anyways. Copy that over. And we can copy that over. And then that other line just changes a little bit based on our generated classes. So hero, PRPC, it's not showing up. In the right project, yeah, I am. There it is. Okay. Let's learn to type. And then the channel and client. And then a hero response for get hero info. And we're just passing in hero ID. Oh, it's getting mad at me because I put string and not number. That's better. And then the other one, hero response. It has the same response, update hero. And we need to pass in the update hero request. Return client dot update hero request. Okay, I think that's our client for the hero. Why is it getting mad? That. Okay, that's fine. Everything there looks good. Go back into our test class here. So we're gonna pull in this new hero client now for our test. It gets really mad when you don't use that underscore. Don't know why. Then we need to generate it. And let's make a hero DTO. Can I make that in here? I didn't make a way to create a new, so we're gonna have to create one record in there. Let's create a record in the database real quick to test with. So we don't need to do that. That one will auto generate. Just call it Bob. Hero level 1 warrior. That should work. Now it worked. I forgot to have auto increment on the ID field. Okay, so we have a record. One Bob, one warrior right now is what it reads. So if we change the hero ID of 1, no, I didn't think it would let me do that. These are read only. Okay. Let's do hero response. Hero response equals hero client get hero info on 1 first of all, and we can do a let's get rid of the test client for now. This is kind of a new test client that we're working on. After gRPC call, hero is hero response dot get dot hero info dot hero name is, let's actually do it like this, is a level using the values, the additional values in here. Level, it's going to say a level 1 warrior named, and then it'll get their name. So that way we're pulling all the data back except for the ID, but that's okay. All right, let's test that first before we test out the other method. It's getting mad at me for something again. No, it's not. It just wasn't done loading. All right, let's rerun the server. I don't know if this is gonna work without the override. That's why we're testing. All right. Now let's go in here and just test it. Push play and see what happens. All right, so it tried to make the call and it failed, which is kind of what I expected because the override wasn't working on the server side. The server didn't trigger anything because it never found this. All right, let's put override back in to these two. Pull method get hero info to hero service impl base. Don't know why it's not finding that. All right, let's look in the generated class again. Which one is it? Is it this one? Get hero info method update hero info method. It's lowercase. I guess it just does that on its own. Okay. I bet this is gonna work. Just by matching up what it did in its signatures. So I guess I'll do that going forward. And then over here, I need to change this to be consistent. All right, let's do a full rebuild to make sure I didn't break anything. I don't think I did. I think all it was mad about was that capital letter at the beginning. But because I just did this, I'm going to have to copy the proto back over to the other project and regenerate the files on that side as well. It's not hard. It's a step you got to remember to do. If you update your proto files at all, you got to remember to copy them over and also regenerate them for your client side. Okay, so I can go ahead and start this server now. And it should work this time. Well, not until I fix the proto files. Let's do that while we're waiting. So we want to go to the server. Grab that hero proto file. Go into the client. Proto. Paste. Yes. Copy over it. And then tell it to regenerate. It's going to get mad because there's going to be two of the same file for now. But we'll delete these two. And then we'll grab the two that just got generated. Put them in there. And now on this side, it probably messed our code up slightly because we made it lowercase on the method name. So go back here. Hero client is mad. I thought it would be because we have to lowercase that first letter. And let's just go ahead and keep that pattern going. Otherwise, I'm going to confuse myself. All right. Close that. Unity is in play mode. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to keep it in play mode. All right, let this rebuild and see if all the errors go away. And I think that's just because I was doing stuff while it was in play mode, probably. Why is it still in play mode? All right. So the server's running. This can lead to loss. I know that. It's fine. I turned it off. Let's go ahead and close this other project now, since I think we're pretty much done with needing to reference it. I think we've got a working system here now, or I'm hoping. All right, let's test this again, and I think we might be good. I hope. All right, made the call. Look at the server. The server made that call. All right. We're doing good. We've got it. Making a call. The backend server is calling into the database. And let's do that one additional test before we quit for the day to prove out that we can update the database. So let's go back into our code for the client, because that's where we're setting up this test case. Let's create an additional. I want it to make both calls. So this will be updated hero response. And we're doing hero client dot update hero new hero new update hero request. Hero DTO. Can I do a double of this? I don't know if I can or not. This is probably going to get really mad at me. This will be hero ID. No, it's not happy with that. Let's back up a minute here. So new update hero request. And I'm going to do hero ID, updated hero equals there we go, we're getting there. Hero ID equals 1. Hero name, let's change it to Sue. Hero level, let's say 2. Hero class, mage. Change this up a little bit. And then we need to do a debug log. And we can also verify that this worked by going into the database, so we'll do that too. After update call, and we can just copy the rest of that. All right, so we're testing. We've already tested this one and it works, but now we're going to go in after it runs that one. We're going to run this one next, which the backend server should update the database and then return the updated object. So we should see the updated changes in our debug log here. So, oh, I keep leaving the server running, or the client running, which is fine because I'm just updating code. If I was updating stuff in the Unity hierarchy over here, it wouldn't save those changes. So, gotta make sure to remember to do that. All right, let's try this again. Well, the first one worked. The second one did not. Did it even make it to the server? Let's look. No, it didn't make the update call. Otherwise, we would have seen this log come up. All right. Object reference not set to an instance at line 15. Hmm. It looks good at first glance. Updated hero. Can I create that separately? I mean, I think what I did there should work though. I do like a hero DTO because that's what it is. Updated hero equals. Guess I can't do it that way. Equals hero DTO dot. How do we do this? I know in Java I use the builder. I mean, it was letting me do new on this, but I don't think that's gonna work. Because now, how do I update that? It already gets mad at you if you try to set these. Or does it? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's just mad at my syntax over here. It just doesn't seem like it should be, but updated hero equals updated hero. Try that. I probably forgot to stop the server again. I did. I probably just had bad at this point, I'm just trying to figure out the syntax. I think the code, the logic itself is sound. I don't know the exact syntax to make these updates. Same error. Or maybe it's not done. Maybe it hasn't ran yet. I thought it did. Oh, now what is it doing? I don't know. Let's save this. Clear the console. Make sure we don't have any changes over here that didn't save. I don't know what just happened. Well, it ran the update call, but it doesn't appear to have updated the database. Why? Let's look. Let's see what happened in the server. It does say updating hero. We might turn on debugging if we need to see what data got sent. Maybe it didn't actually send that data. I still feel like this probably isn't working, even though it's not getting mad at me. I almost feel like this is a read-only. Or did I not label this right? I didn't label this right. It might have worked. It might have worked just fine. And I did not update my debug statement to use the correct variable. So we can still check this. We'll just go check in the database. If we see the updated data, we should be good. All right, let's go check that. So there's the data before. Let's run that same command again. Ah, yes, it updated just fine. I just wasn't pulling that. Awesome. So we can change this to something else, just as one final test here. Doesn't matter what I type in, just to show that it's changing the data. I really need to remember to stop it after it runs. There we go. So before, it had the updated values that I had entered. After, it puts the values in that I just typed in. And we can double check that it also worked over here by running the select statement, and we can see it's updated. Great. All right. That was some decent progress. So we can mark this one as done. And the next step is actually not quite. We're going to add some more methods and attributes to hero. But just getting through those initial steps is going to be very helpful. Now when we come back next time, we might actually start being able to build out some of these main objects here. So I mean, we even kind of did this. Some of this. I mean, there's going to be more than just an update function, but so we'll be able to start working through the hero object, get that one fleshed out and tested, and then we're going to start building out these additional items. So there's a lot of different objects in this game. This will be some busy work, but these are all foundational and important to next steps as far as developing the game and making sure the data passes back and forth correctly. So after we get done with these steps, which I'm hoping in my next session, I'm going to be able to get this much done, get to this endpoint here, I think. A lot of this will be copy paste, you know what I mean? There's different values in these, but now that we have the hero set up as a template, we can copy that structure for all these other ones. So there won't be any more trying to figure out how to do things. These are all going to work the same way. We'll add in the different data objects and stuff. So it'll just be a little bit of busy work there. But if we can get through all of this in that next session, then we'll get into Unity and actually start developing some game stuff and testing out some actual game flows. So it'll be nice to get to that step. All right. I need to get off of here. I'm going to grab some quick lunch, and I have some work meetings coming up. So unfortunately, I have to stop for the day. But thanks again for everyone that was watching. Talk to you later.